Thanks for joining us today to look at HomeBuilder. I'm going to give you a really quick overview of the system, do a very simple transaction and just show you the basics of how the system works. This is the front screen. I'm an administrative user here. We've got a few different roles which can be set up. And the basis upon which this system was created was we wanted to make it intuitive to use, tons of automation, give us quality reporting, and have it fully integrated to financials. So everything you see us do here, eventually those transactions will sit in both the financial records, the reporting information. You'll be able to get some good cost details, and it'll all tie in very nicely. What I want to really demonstrate is a fairly simple transaction where we're going to go and take a lot, and we're going to go and determine which model we're going to put on that lot and have a little look at the budgets and information that goes on there. That's a very small part of the system. As you can see, as I look at this main menu, I can have multiple phases within this legal entity, and this is just one legal entity. This is the customer company name. I could have many companies, like hundreds if I wish. And in this particular legal entity, I have these lots, and there's different statuses, different levels you can have of them. On top of that, I have our standard selections that we're going to ask the purchaser to determine, and then we can get into some operational details in here. Not going to cover them in this video today, but you can obviously see that we're handling the standard production home building functions, purchase orders for extras, and lot installments as are made by the purchaser. When are we closing and how are we closing? And so we handle a lot of regulatory information as you enter the information to the system. As I said, this is a brief run through, so we're going to just head straight into a lot. I'm going to click into the lot list for this particular phase. As you can see, we got a bunch of lots here which are for homes, and we got some more down here for townhouses. I'm going to go straight into lot 11. I just set this one up. I know that Ken is going to be buying this lot, but he hasn't determined which, well, he hadn't until now determined which model was going to go on it. As I open this lot card up, you can see there's all sorts of useful information in here. If I scroll down this chart, you can see that there's some basic budgetary information, nothing as yet because we haven't started building. Milestones which you can create, closing, legal, construction information, all sorts of good stuff. And on the right hand side, you can see that there are some numbers, which these are called queues. You can drill into them and go and see the information which you've got. Now, on this particular lot, there was already a model which had been selected. It was taken off, but we also pushed some tasks through as we were anticipating. So this is actually something which had some multiple customers, as you can see, and it's already had one model. But we're going to go and select a new one right now. And so what we have to do is we're going to go and see in here that Ken chose the Jupiter model. We click on that one and it says, okay, I see that you may have had some information before. We're going to be overriding that with the new information which is already located and stored in the Jupiter model. So we click on yes. And as we do that, what happens is the system goes out and it creates a bunch of information in here which is helpful for us. So as I click into this lot budget information, I can see that this is broken out by cost detail codes. You can define these to be whatever you want. We can give you a suggested list if you prefer. And as you can see, there are no actual costs in here as yet. But the basic outline of what we're going to be recording and how our budgets information is going to be stored is in this system. You can see that some of these are drill downs, and I'm going to show you a little bit how they work in a second. I'm just going to come back out into the main lot page. Once we've decided that we are going to be building this model, what happens is we then say we're now ready for construction. There is an action which we have to take in order to be ready for construction, and it's to site the model on the lot. While I'm in here, you can see that there are things about changing status. So this changes the sales status. We have multiple statuses of sales, as you would expect. We also have this automated adjustment journal routine at the end of the sale. I'm going to cite the model on the lot here. That's my reason for being in that action section. I click on yes, And what you'll see is that the system goes out, does a bit of checking, makes sure that everything is correct, and it says, okay, I've got 113 planning lines which came from this. And if I drill into these planning lines, what you'll see is that there is some budgetary information which came in here. We got some initial things about permits and work drawings, and we may charge for them, we may not. There is an overhead lot which we can book against and then release those charges across all the lots if we want. You can handle things any way that you want. In this particular one, what I wanted to point out was that we have decided to break down each of these transactions into basically how the vendor is going to be billing us. You can see here we've got vendor contracts against all of these. We've pre-agreed these for this specific model on this specific lot. We can do them by model house area. So we can, this vendor might say to us, for instance, that framing of first floors for the Jupiter model, which is the one we chose, is going to cost us $31.10. And what they would probably also say is that when we're pouring footings, then this is Van der Voort's contract, and he's just going to charge us this. So this is useful information. These costs actually came from the vendor contracts. They didn't have to. Vendor contracts are very useful. You don't have to use them. You can see over here we reference the cost detail codes. This goes right into the financial records once we start transacting against it. And if I just hit escape from now, once we're done that transaction of putting the model onto the site and the model on the lot, what it did was it brought in, as I said, the vendor contract values, put them into the budget, and you can see as I go back into this budget, these were originally blank and now they're filled in. If I click, for instance, onto some of these plan cost amounts, I can click onto whatever I wish. Then if I go into painting, for instance, then what it does is it takes me down into the planning line, and I can have one or more planning lines associated with this. As I continue and process purchase invoices, the values will appear in these actual amounts. I'm not going to do that for this presentation. There is another video which shows you that, but it works as expected. You create a purchase invoice, you can go and call in the planning line that was created from the vendor contract. The system will check that it doesn't exceed budget if you have turned that on, and then it will go and post the actual transactions against the lot. What you can do is you can also see that our values are starting to fill in on our budgeting areas. Our milestones would start filling in once we start processing this using our workflows. And that's information which you'd see as you proceed in the construction of the home. I'm just going to hit escape from here, and I'm going to very quickly show you how to do a construction color chart selection. So if I click into this lot number 3, I can see that I have selection packages button at the top here. I click onto that selection packages button, and what it does, it says to me, okay, you've got a couple of addendums, and you also have this color chart here. I see it's still open. Pam and Jim have not made their selections yet, so I'm just going to go and see what they've done so far. Move them along a little bit, make sure that we're ready to continue our construction. I click on this choices, and what you'll see is that all of these choices which are set up came in automatically. When I go into this screen here, this can be handled in any way you want, but we've basically built this demonstration database to show you the house areas. And then within each house area, we have a series of categories. So for the primary bedroom, we've got to make a decision on flooring, one on mirroring, and those are the decisions which we need to make. What I can see is that they've decided that they want to do this type of flooring, but they haven't filled in the variant code. I know that because it's still red. Once it turns black, I know that that's filled in. Again, you don't have to do variants if you don't want to, but for us, this is the way we're going to do it. I can see that we got some images in here, which might be helpful for you. Again, you don't have to use them, but sometimes people find that sort of thing helpful. So what we've got is they need to make a choice about which color they got, and you can see that the price is right in here. If they make one of these selections, then they're going to be charged an additional fee. I'm just going to choose maple. I'm going to pick this variant, and as I pick it, we get returned back to the choices menu, and you can see that the price is being put in here as 1600 extra. There are a ton of reports which come from this. There are some standardized reports which you can get the purchaser to sign. You can store information against the lot. You can make attachments against here. And that was just one small example of the way that the system can function. That's it for this really quick overview. I hope that it was helpful.